I want to also make a comment about um, something that was raised regarding Grace's talk last week. Someone commented, someone that I don't know, but I was told that they commented about the talk, saying that in Islam the concept of Haya is important, and this provides an educational opportunity, because indeed Haya is really important, and I just want to just take a few minutes and talk about this. First, anyone that has been following what the Usuli Institute has been doing, you know that we speak up, and I make it a personal point to speak up against any laws that discriminate against muhajjabas, whether in Europe, as in several of the khutbahs that I gave, or in employment discrimination laws or lawsuits that where an employer had discriminated against a muhajjaba for one reason or another. And this is simply because of my thorough belief that hijab is something that must be left to the conscience of Muslim women collectively, but Muslim women individually. It is not my place as imam to lecture a woman about what is solely her exclusive decision and her within her province, solely within her exclusive province. And nothing that Grace said I take to be against the practice of hijab. I didn't understand her talk at all to even get to that point. The issue is people who make whether a woman covers her hair or doesn't cover her hair a litmus test for legitimacy and credibility. And so if her hair is covered, they will listen. If her hair is not covered, then she's out of the community in some form or another. Similarly, those who make the litmus test for especially converts is whether a woman covers her hair or not, as if her Islam is flawed unless she does that. Whether the hair is covered or not is an ethical / moral / legal / jurisprudential issue that is complicated and nuanced and multi-layered. The person who made the comment about Haya, and Haya means in part modesty, in part means a degree of bashfulness, having an innate or deeply embedded sense of decency. So Haya as a term is absolutely fundamental as an Islamic norm. The amount of emphasis on Haya as a moral and ethical value in the life of Muslims is beyond doubt. But Haya is in so many is relevant to so many aspects of our lives. If you are with a people in which it is improper to eat with your mouth open, where the food shows as you're chewing it, and you, regardless of that practice, you continue to do so, and you cause offense to people, that is counter haya. If you are in a society or a place where spitting on the ground is considered offensive, and you continue doing so, that's counter haya. If you are in a society where it's not acceptable to blow your nose in your sleeve, I've seen it some cultures, and that's considered rude, that's counter haya. If you fail to lower your gaze and you are checking out the bodies of men or women, that's counter haya. If you speak about private matters, especially sexual matters, explicitly, and you have no filter about how you talk about these things, that's counter haya. If you go around flashing your body, drawing attention to your body, instead of your ethical character or your reason, your intellect, or your piety, and you bring attention to your body, that's counter haya. Haya is this part in a Muslim heart that is partly modesty, humility, where you do not wish to cause offense, and that's culturally defined quite often, but also things that are not culturally defined, like the way we deal with our bodies, so that we don't put our bodies on display, we don't bring attention to the body as something that can be fetishized or sexually objectified, that we insist when we deal with other human beings that attention should be to our moral character, to our piety, to our intellect, not our body. If you fail to do so, that is counter haya. If you engage in obscenities, if you watch pornography, that's counter haya. If you if you speak obscenely, that's counter haya. If you raise your voice and you're loud and noisy and you bring attention to yourself and you have no qualms about, I shouldn't bring attention to myself through being loud and flashy, that's counter haya. Haya is a beautiful moral character that is summed up in saying that the Prophet ﷺ used to be bashful. His face would get red when someone would say something or forward in his presence. That is the heart of haya. Now, whether a woman shows her hair is counter haya or not, what I am comfortable saying is that in our society, in our time, there is sometimes there is nothing that is inconsistent with haya in a woman showing her hair, regardless of whether you think hijab is obligatory or not. But the issue is of modesty. You could wear the hijab and have no haya, and I see that quite often. If you wear the hijab and you're loud and rude, then you have no haya. Your hijab is not going to protect you. It's not going to endow you with a moral quality. If you wear your hijab and your clothes are tight and they, explicitly outline your body, that's counter haya. If you wear your hijab and you act, you follow, or one of the things that have shocked me most in the United States is a muhajjaba that does pole dancing. Because pole dancing is something that is culturally defined as something that strippers do. It's a dance that anyone you'd say pole dancing do, and they'll think of are strippers. And for muhajjaba then to follow that culture and that practice, and to try to say, no, it's a space that I as a Muslim can engage in, that's counter haya. And the fact that you're muhajjaba means absolutely nothing. It just, so I don't know what the person who made the comment intended by it. I mean, I actually didn't read it. But haya is, there are women, like my fellow colleagues in academia, for instance, their haya is their intellect. They do not define themselves sexually, and if you define them sexually, then something is really wrong with you. And that's because of the way they carry themselves. They're serious, intellectually rigorous women. It is disingenuous to try to say that one of them lacks haya because she shows her hair. Same time, there are plenty of people who cover their hair, but they don't have an iota of haya in the way they conduct their affairs, and they deal with their family, or deal with their friends, or the topics they talk about, or even their attitude towards their own bodies, which for a Muslim, our bodies belong to God, and we are entrusted as keepers of our bodies. They don't belong to us. And our bodies were not given to us so that we can display them to arouse emotions in others that are prurient and base. And that's part of the essence of haya, is to understand that and to conduct yourself accordingly. Okay. Yeah, we do. We as Muslims, we do need to nurture that moral value within us. Haya is very important. It's very important to every aspect of our life, because it is summed up in being in good moral character, which is, as I said, there is a contextual, cultural component to it, and there is a more objective, primordial component to it. Okay, alhamdulillah.